Hi everybody. This is my review on Elio. Yep, after doing trailers reactions, I'm finally reviewed Elio. It was on Disney Plus, and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch it. Oh, it was a really cute, sweet movie. I watched this with my mom, and she thought it was a really sweet and cute movie. It was really adorable. Okay, so I think the movie's been out for a while, so here's some spoilers. So if you don't want to watch this video without knowing any spoilers, here's your warning. Oh, it was such a cute movie. So it's about Elio, and his parents are dead, like in a lot of Disney or animated movies, and he lives with his aunt, which they kind of changed because in the original trailer that was his mom, but they changed it to being his aunt for some reason. They start in a museum and they looked up in the stars, and apparently he wants to get abducted by aliens because he wants to be somewhere where he can belong, or because he thinks he's weird, or he doesn't belong on Earth, so he wants to be with aliens. His aunt, like, she does love him, but it's a lot of work, and she always tries to do what's best, but she has a job working at a military place where they have to call people about space debris. But there's this guy who's literally called Melmac, but he has contact with aliens. But when Elio was trying to contact aliens with a ham radio, he met this other kid who voice sounds familiar. Kind of makes me think of Miles Morales from the Spider-Man show or game. But anyways, he gets this ham radio, but there's this other kid who was being a jerk, and they fought, and they were like, you were trying to wrestle with a kid, but Elio snuck into this place, and he send the message, because at first they weren't, but then he sent the message. It was like, okay, my name is Elio, I'm this, I'm strong, okay, goodbye, I love you. I love that that's a running thing, okay, goodbye, I love you, because I say I love you a lot to my mom, and I think that's really sweet that they do that. But then later, he sent the message, and then his aunt and him argue, and it was like, Elio, aliens aren't real, can you just stop being this? And I was like, well, you don't want me. Yeah, we're family, but that doesn't mean you want me, which is a little bit sad. But then later, they had an emotional moment, and you see him on the roof sinking and kind of crying, but also he got a thing on his eye. His eye got infected, so that's why he wears that eye patch thing. So, and then he goes to this camp so he won't get into any trouble, but he runs into those kids again, and then the aliens came in, they paused time, and then he gets finally abducted by aliens, and apparently it was that probe that they sent out years ago to message aliens and intelligent life, and I think that was the same probe from the movie Starman, like, because I think this was a reference to Starman, like, hello, this from Children of Earth. They think he's an ambassador, and then he meets this big, muscle-bound guy who was that guy who said, I ate my mother when I was birthed. But that wasn't in the movie, which is too bad, because that was kind of a funny scene, because it was like, was that a thing that you people do? No, just me. Everyone was surprised, but no, they never do that in the movie, but apparently he's basically the main villain, so I guess I could picture that, but I kind of like that he was just a big scary muscle guy, but I guess with a character that says that he ate his own mother, I guess they want to make him the villain, but they don't even say that in the movie. But Elio goes to him because he wants to join the Communiverse, that's what they call it, and the Communiverse was like, no, you're too aggressive, and the Communiverse are nice, and he was like, for war, and he was lasering these little guys and getting them naked, which is pretty funny. But then Elio had to reason with him, and then he was like, I must destroy, and if the Communiverse won't accept me, I'm gonna blast them, and it was like, no. But then they prison Elio, he goes and finds his son, and the son becomes friends, and it's really cute. And then he was like later a bargaining chip. They're like, I'll leave the Communiverse, and then I'll pick up my son. His son was like, I don't want to be a warrior. And then they cloned him, but yeah, even before they cloned Elio. And there's this whole thing with the cloning. The clone was being nice and being well behaved, but then they cloned the little slug big child, the son. I forget his name now. Oh, but then they clone him. They were like, "You be in this pod." Then there's this really cool chant they did, and he gets suited up, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna blast." But then the dad blasts the clone because he figured out he's not my son. A father knows. And then the council reads his mind. It was like, "Where's my son?" And then they realize that Elio's not a ambassador, or he's just a kid, and then they leave. He was like, "Well, let's tear this apart and find my son." And Elio goes back to Earth, and he feels bad, and yeah, they did the whole liar reveal, but it doesn't. But if you're not a fan of the moping and doping, they don't last that long. I always feel bad for Elio because he always feels weird, and the aunt's like takes things seriously, but that kind of made me feel emotional because even I kind of feel weird. Like, if you look at me, I like to collect action figures, and I'm 30 years old, and I like to still watch cartoons and collect action figures. I think that's traits of being autistic, but I always feel like people misunderstood me or don't understand how I do things, which is kind of not normal. So Elio is kind of something I can relate to a little bit, because even I do certain things that are pretty strange. So Elio finds his aunt. The aunt does figure out that's the clone, because the clone is being well behaved, but then he gets a hair sample, and then the hair sample leaves and comes alive, and then but he peels the eye patch and there's no other eye, and then he explains, and the aunt is trying to find Elio into space, and then they find Elio, and it's like a really sweet emotional moment because they do love each other. So that really got emotional. But then the slug son was in the escape pod, but then they crash landed onto Earth, and then they had to go in. They used a clone as a distraction, and then they find the little slug son. He was like, "Oh, there you are." And they went into the escape pod. There's space debris, and there's even a part where it turns to black, and I feel like people are going to make fan-made credits of how that would end, but oh, that would be a weird ending. But they phoned Milmac, or the kid with the hand radio, and they were like, "Space debris," and then they tried to find it, and then they went to other countries, and then they finally escaped that. They hit the jump to light speed, and they go to the alien place, and then the little slug son gets cold, and the father's freaking out, and he's like, "Roar." At first you thought he was going to tend him, but he opens up, he jumps out, and it's his slug daddy, and well, or silkworm dad, and then he wraps him in silk, and then he cuddles him, and my mom thought that was so cute. Like, he's this big, scary, rough guy, and he cuddles his son because he loves his son. And then his son was like, "I don't want to fight in battle." And the dad was like, "I know. I think I always known." Like, that's how we figure out his son, the clone with the clone. So then they realized they love each other, and that was sweet. And then Elio was like, "You are an ambassador now. We forgive you. You saved the day," at the end. And then the aunt was like, "Oh." But then they're like, "Thank you, but I think I need to be with Earth." And they're like, "We understand." And they even speak in their alien language with "Goodbye, I love you." And it was like, "We love you too. Okay, bye, I love you." And then they drop them off. They see the whole planet spaceship place, and the place was really cool. Like, you see all these different creative aliens. There's a part with the bathroom, and I'm like, whoa. And I really like the friendship with the worm and the Elio. I thought that was really cute. So they go back home, and there's some mid-credit scenes where they're with the ham radio kid, and then they're like communicating with the silkworm kid, and that was really cute. I liked Elio. I thought it was a really sweet movie. It didn't do that well at the box office, sadly, which is disappointing. I mean, I think I missed it because I can't remember. Maybe I was sick or something, and I ran out of time, and there was other movies I wanted to see. Yeah, well, anyways, I thought it was a really cute, emotional movie. What did you all think? I really liked it. Maybe there's people that didn't like it, but I don't care what they think. I thought it was a really sweet movie. It was really cute. I like how cute the friendship was. I like how cute the father was to the son, and that he loved him. When he's in that war suit, it's actually a really cool design. I'm sorry. I wonder if they made a toy based off that, because that looked really cool. The dad was like, "We can't take off our armor. It shows weakness," but he did it to save his son, so that's really cute. What did you thought of this movie? It was a really cute movie. I thought it was really sweet. My mom thought it was really sweet. What did you thought? Did you all enjoyed it? I guess that's all I need to talk about. I kind of did a whole recap of the whole episode. My review is like Elio. It was a really cute movie, and I like the friendship. The aunt and Elio had a really sweet and kind of sad dynamic, but then they realized they love each other, so I love that part. It was a really sweet movie, and I really liked the animation of how they did the aliens, and saying okay bye I love you was a running thing was really adorable. It's a really adorable movie. I thought I really like how adorable it was. It's Pixar. It did kind of make me feel emotional with Elio because he always feels weird, but he thinks he's the problem, but then they realize they can accept each other, so that was really emotional for me because I'm kind of weird. But what did you all think? Did you all like this movie? What do you all think? Comment below and tell me what you think, and see you next time.